All right, welcome everyone to KPC's, the Auburn Star 2019 Municipal Elections Debate Forum this evening. My name is Lisa Esquivel-Long. I serve as the editor at Greater Fort Wayne Business Weekly in Fort Wayne. It's a sister paper to the Auburn Star. And I'm also manager of the publisher KPC Media's South Office in Fort Wayne. And we serve 7 Allen County and Whitley County weekly newspapers there. I will serve as this evening's moderator, and our sincere thanks to Kruse Plaza providing the venue this evening, and this community member experience, of which a number of you are here tonight on this dreary evening, so thank you for coming. And I just wonder if John Kruse would like to come up and say a few words about the facility.
Thank you so much. I am so excited that all of you are here. I could not be more thankful that we're able to have this venue and to be able to host this event. And thank you for KPC putting it on and for the candidates all being here. And some of you know I really enjoy the political process, and I'm extremely pleased that we have some great candidates in so many different races, and that we can all learn more about it tonight. And we have a lot of renovations coming up, so this place will be transformed into a really spectacular experience center. If anyone has any questions about the facility, we've got Kate and Terry over here can help you, and so can I as well. So thank you all for being here, and have some fun.
Thank you again, Mr. Kruse. And we'd also like to thank Nick Stafford for helping us to live stream tonight's event. So thank you, Nick, for coming out and doing that. KPC has held similar events where we publish a daily newspaper. And the candidates that we have tonight are in 3 races. The candidates for mayor of Garrett who will participate in the debate are incumbent Democrat Todd Fayant and Republican challenger Larry Getz. Candidates for mayor of Auburn are Republican Mike Lay and Democrat Sarah Payne. The candidates for Butler at-large city council are incumbent Democrat Elizabeth Beth Chrisman and Republican challenger Bill White. Our press panel this evening who will be asking questions of our candidates are Dave Kurtz, editor of the Auburn Star, and Sue Carpenter, editor of the Garrett Clipper. So let's take a quick minute to review our debate procedures and rules. In each race, the candidates will be allowed a 2-minute opening remark and a 2-minute closing remark. They have flipped a coin to decide who goes first. Whomever goes last in the opening remarks will go first in the closing remarks. Our media panel has prepared questions for each race using questions submitted by the public and generated by the Auburn Star's editorial staff. They have been reviewed by the company's editorial board. The candidates have no prior knowledge of the questions chosen. Additional questions can be accepted in writing during the debate. Please hold up your hand if you have a question to submit, and David Regas here, and Holly Byerly, you have Holly here, and Holly Byerly will collect them and bring them to the stage. The media panel will do their best to juggle topics of interest without duplicating and working within our time parameters. For each question, the candidates will take turns on who goes first in responding. They will have 1 minute per question. Their opponent will also have 1 minute, and the person who went first will then have 30 seconds for rebuttal, if they choose to do so after their opponent's response. We ask that you refrain from any applause or any actions that would serve as a distraction during this event. Please save clapping till the end of the event. And now if I could have our Butler at-large city council candidates come forward, Beth Chrisman and Bill White. All right, we're just going to check that your mic is on. There should be a red light on.
I don't know.
Right.
Is the microphone on?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, and yours may be muted, so.
No, mine's on.
Oh, no, you're not muted. You sound good. Okay. Well, Mr. White, you had the coin toss, so we're going to start our opening remarks with you.
Okay. Quote, "You must be the change if you want to see change in the world," said Gandhi. I too wish to see positive change in our part of the world. Thus, I am running for Republican at large in the great city of Butler. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Bill White. I have been a resident of Butler for 20 years. I am running for the position of Republican at large for the City Council of Butler. I've been married to my wife, Leslie White, for 24 years. Together we have 4 children, or 4 daughters and 1 son, and a bunch of grandchildren. I'm retired from Charleston Metal Products. I'm a veteran. I was a past commander of Post 202, American Legion, Butler, Indiana.
All right, thank you very much. And Ms. Crispin?
Good evening, everybody. Everybody having a nice time this evening? Okay, I want to thank KPC, the Star, and everyone who showed up for this event, because this is important. We all need to be involved in the politics of our community because it makes a difference as to what goes on, what we achieve, and what we do for our children. I am Elizabeth Chrisman. My friends call me Beth. I am the Democratic candidate for the Council at Large seat on the Butler Common Council. I am the sitting council at large, and I want to thank all the citizens of Butler for their support for my tenure on the council. I am 63 years old, and I am married. I have 3 sons. I have 3 grandchildren, and 1 on the way, due in December. So we're excited. So much of what I do is for my grandchildren. I care so deeply for everyone in Butler, their children and their grandchildren. My focus is on the future for generations to come. To work toward a future that will attract business to Butler, and we also need to look into the future attracting families and family-oriented activities. Activities like the recent Harvest Festival that attracted a lot of families and children to the downtown area. We do a lot of different activities in Butler, not just the Harvest Festival. We have the Butler Days. We also have this last year did a ball drop for New Year's Eve. And I want to just thank everyone for coming this evening.
Thank you. You'll notice our timekeeper, Amanda, there. She'll give you a 15-second warning that you're at the 45-second mark. You have 1 minute to answer the questions. And we're going to start with our first question. And we'll start with Ms. Chrisman.
I want to mention that the questions were prepared with assistance from the Butler Bulletin editor, Jeff Jones, who you'll see there with his camera. And here's number 1. With the city currently applying for a grant for South Side sewer separation, what do you believe is the next step to address the stormwater and sewer situation in Butler?
Well, we already have so many people that are having to deal with the flooding in the streets and the water in the basement. Our next step is to be getting the federal funding grants, because we're looking for a grant that will give us where the city of Butler pays 25% and they pay 75%, so that we can try to address these issues, because these people don't need to be having flooding in their basement or any of the mosquitoes that are attracted by the water, and the various things that go along with this. It's important that we address the issue of the South Side Sewer Project.
I've been on the council of the Redevelopment Commission for approximately 2 years. I've listened to this about applying for a federal grant on cleaning up our stormwater system, and so far we've not had real good luck on it. We have failed twice on a grant, and we're looking to do it for a third time. I think it's time that we need to look at another grant writer to do this.
Thank you. And would you care to rebut?
I have no rebuttal.
Okay. Okay. We'll go on to our second question, and that will be for Mr. White.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. Butler is currently applying for a grant to clean up the former Butler Company property. What would you like to see done with that property once cleanup has been completed?
What I would like to see done is, when it's all cleaned up, either a company in Butler taking over the property, or I would like to see some sort of an event center brought in where we can attract more people, possibly bring mothers and fathers and kids to an event right there in Butler. That's what I would like to see done with it.
And Ms. Gritzman?
I completely agree with my opponent on what we need to do with that facility. We need something that we can attract the people in the community to, like a community center, something that would, families can come to. Maybe you could have kids that would come in for games or after school, things like that. A senior center that would attract seniors to come to. That would be a great idea.
Mr. White, would you care to rebut?
I agree with her totally. We do need that. But I'm not opposed to if there's some company that would like to come in and take that piece of property and do something with it to bring new people into the town. The event center was something I just wanted to throw out there, just if nothing else.
Okay, we'll go to our next question, and that will be for Ms. Chrisman.
The availability of new housing is an issue in Butler. What would you propose to bring more housing development to the community?
Well, unfortunately, at this point, we don't have a whole lot of empty lots to be able to build houses. We need to get some kind of a developer to come in and purchase a large, probably a section of farmland to actually make new housing developments. I believe there's only about like 15 empty lots that are available for development. There are a lot of empty lots in town of abandoned properties, homes that have been like burned down or torn down, that we have quite a few of those. If we could get developers to come in and actually work on making new housing additions to attract families to come to Butler.
Thank you. Mr. White?
I agree with Beth. I would like to see a higher standard of homes brought in. So maybe the people of SBI and the surrounding area would come and live in Butler. If you're going to work in Butler, I'd really like to see you live in Butler. That's all I have.
And Ms. Gritzman, would you like to rebut?
I'm not so much interested in, necessarily people from SDI. It's just any new residents of Butler is exciting to me, because whether, what economic ladder you've risen to, that we need people in Butler no matter how much money you make.
All right. For our next question, we'll start with Mr. White.
The Butler area has many industries within the city limits. or within a short distance. How can Butler continue to attract more industry? What incentives are appropriate to offer a company looking to come to the community?
I don't know all the things that are appropriate, but I do think that we could possibly work with them on obtaining a building or land. I don't know what we can really do at our level. The mayor is the one that really decides or brings to the table what we can do to vote on. Being a Republican at large, I have a very small part that I can do for that.
Ms. Chrisman?
Unfortunately, no matter how you slice it, when you are doing these things, you've got to be able to go out of your way to attract things, attract people to come to your facilities and do these things. I know that many times with businesses, we will do tax abatements to try to get them to come to our area, and that's probably the most attractive thing to businesses is, tax breaks. And it's like the nature of the game sometimes that's what you have to do to get people to come in. And unfortunately, I would be willing to do that if it will get businesses to come to Butler because we need them.
Mr. White, would you care to rebut?
I would have to agree with her on that. I don't know everything that we can do, but I do know there is abatements that we can do on it.
For our next question, we'll start with Ms. Chrisman.
How would you propose bringing more retail businesses to Butler?
That's the hard one, because everybody in Butler basically goes shopping someplace else. I myself do it. I go to Auburn to go shopping. I go to Angola to go shopping. And no matter how much you try to attract retail, it's difficult because these companies are always looking at their bottom line. And if you're not going to have people stay in Butler to shop, you're not going to attract retail. I would love it. I would love to be able to have restaurants and other shopping besides Kaiser's. Kaiser's is the only grocery store in town. We have no real retail outlets, and it would be great to attract other things.
Mr. White?
I would like to see us improve the parking in Butler. It is a big problem. I think if we had parking and could get people to come and look at the buildings that are structurally sound, and try to get like Walgreens or somebody like that to come in. I would also like to see maybe some medical facilities come in that might attract people from all around the area.
Ms. Chrisman, would you like to rebut?
A medical facility would be a good idea. That's a great idea, to have a medical facility that would attract people to stay. Because I know I go to Kendallville for my doctor. That would be a big attraction. These are all really, really tough issues that we really need to work on the city council to try to get more people, to get more activities.
Thank you. We'll go to our next question, and that will be for Mr. White.
What improvements are appropriate for the downtown area in Butler?
What improvements are needed? Parking is the number one thing. We just do not have any parking in Butler. Renovation of some of the old buildings. Some of the buildings can be renovated, some of them really need to come down. They're not safe. As far as bringing companies into those, I think we need to do something like put some feelers out there and see what is out there that could be attracted to Butler.
Ms. Chrisman?
We are going to be doing, I guess this next summer, we're going to have food trucks coming into Butler, probably one day a week, and we are hoping that what that will do is the food trucks will convince different establishments that maybe they could open a restaurant in Butler for that particular food truck. It's a really good idea. We've passed an itinerant vendors legislation so that we could have these food trucks come in and serve us. It's going to be, I say, next summer, I believe we're starting that. But to me, that would be a good thing to attract people to downtown. And we do need downtown parking. He's right.
Mr. White, would you care to rebut?
I pretty much agree with everything she said on that. It would be nice to have food trucks come down. We do have several places. It would be nice for a great restaurant to come in, possibly Amish-style cooking or something of that nature, something that would attract people from all over.
And for our next question, we'll start with Ms. Chrisman.
Butler recently announced plans to make improvements to High Street and R.E. Jones Road with its latest Community Crossings grant. What are future streets that you feel should be addressed?
Right now, the only one I really, that High Street is one that really needs to be addressed. And of course, our main roads, Broadway and Main Street, they need to be continually updated because that's the ones that have the most traffic on them. But yeah, High Street is important. That's something that I really think is a great idea with our Community Crossing grant that we are now getting to be able to fix that because there's a lot of damage on that street. There's a lot of water puddling on that street. It is kind of a danger because I've driven on it myself looking at it, and it's kind of like it kind of sucks you off the road in some of the ruts and everything in the road. But yes, it's important. But the High Street is the big one right now.
Mr. White?
I would have to agree with Beth on that, but also it would be nice if we could widen the corners at 6 and 1. It is just terrible for the semis to try to make it around there.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at on that.
Ms. Chrisman?
Absolutely. We need to widen that. Sometimes it's frightening to be at that intersection and have the semi coming at you.
Right, for our next question, we'll start with Mr. White.
In recent years, city government, the fire, police, and street departments have all had new or updated places for their operations. What improvements would you like to see in the community?
Boy, that's a tough one. That is really a hard one for me. I think we've updated just about everything, the police department, fire department, city hall. I really can't think of much that needs to be updated at this point.
Ms. Chrismore?
I know that we have, on a regular basis, we update our police cars. We've gotten new tasers, and we do update a lot of the stuff for the police department on a regular basis. It's a constant thing. We do flak jackets and all of the things that the police department need. We have police officers that are in training right now, and we will be constantly updating our police department so we're always equipped with the equipment that they need.
Mr. White?
I do agree with her, but I think we have just about everything updated at this point. I don't think we need any new police cars or trucks at this moment.
Okay, for our next question, we'll start with Ms. Chrismore.
We've just discussed the police department, but what are your priorities for the Butler Fire Department?
The Butler Fire Department is also continually being updated in the same vein. We get fire trucks that are redone. We just recently put in security lights on the back behind the fire station. It's important to maintain all of this kind of equipment. That's what a common council is supposed to do, is continually allocate our funds to the different departments so that they are always being updated. We have specific set time frame so that everything, nothing wears out, that we have new equipment all the time.
Mr. White?
I do agree with that. We do have very good equipment in Butler. That's why I say at this time I really can't see anything that we need to update at this moment.
Ms. Chrisman?
I have nothing to add to
Okay.
what he said.
I believe we're coming to the ready for our closing, so we'll start with Ms. Chrisman.
I have enjoyed being on the Common Council. I have been involved in some of the important votes on the council. I support the rehabilitation of the Butler Company, and I also support the South Side Sewer Project. We as a community need to invest in these improvements. I support the preservation of the Mishindo Aquifer. The Common Council condemned Pioneer Artesian in their attempts to sell water from the aquifer. Mishindo water warriors are doing everything they can to save our water, and since the aquifer is under Butler, it's an important thing for Butler. The council recently had a presentation for installation of solar energy for Butler. A cost study was approved by council and will be presented with the results. I really support the installation of solar energy. As we all know, costs are always going up for anything connected to energy. The citizens of Butler deserve to have access to any potential cost savings solar could provide. We have to consider the future for generations to come that are going to need the water from the aquifer and access to the future with the solar power.
Mr. White?
That was very good. I do agree with what she says. I understand I cannot change or produce any results, but I can help the mayor push his agenda forward. I believe he has some good ideas, and I too am against drilling in the aquifer. To me, that's a no-brainer.
Thank you on behalf of KPC Media and the Auburn Star. I'd like to thank both of you for coming out tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
And we'd like to thank the KPC Media and the Star for allowing us to be here. My opponent and I really appreciate the opportunity to bring this to the citizens of not just Butler, but to Auburn and Garrett.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring up the Garrett mayoral candidates now. Larry Getz and Todd Fayette. And again, please note if you could enter on this side, there's no stairs over here. So.